Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my 5th grader. We are on our 13th week in of homeschool, and I'm going to give you an update. My name is Rachel. I have 4 boys, and we are on our 15th year of homeschooling. I have graduated 2. I have a 10th grader and a 5th grader this school year. Going to be talking about my 5th grader and just sort of where we're at with the different curriculum. I do want to take a moment to say, if you like homeschool content, please hit that likes button and subscribe. That would encourage me and help my channel so much. So, all right, we're going to give you an update on all his curriculum. We use Heart of Dakota as our core curriculum, and we are using Creation of Christ this school year. But I'm going to sort of show you where we're at according to his schedule. So I will tell you, he does start out with his Bible reading, which is part of Heart of Dakota, but I'm going to mention that when I bring that out. And then after that, he does his math. I try to get those things that I know he won't want to come back to later in the day done, and he does fine with math as long as he understands it. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time, and that's okay. And we are actually just finished up Delta, and we used that last year. We've always sort of started midway in the school year. He has just been more laid back and letting him make sure he has grasped all the concepts before we move on. So we are about a couple weeks in to Epsilon, which is fractions, and this, only 2 weeks in, it's been going fine. So this has been great. He gets the papers done in the morning, and I do have a video on Matthew C. and my thoughts on that. So I will link that below, and also the curriculum he is using this year if you're interested. And then we move on to spelling, which we are using the Phonetic Zoo by IEW, and he has the word cards. And I gave a little review on this last year that he sort of ran into a bump and was having a hard time moving forward, and I ended up just skipping that lesson. And it's just been a breeze since then. I really need to go back to that lesson. I have not. It's almost like a lot of things just started clicking with him a little bit better. I don't know. He does it pretty independently, and that's what it's meant to do. I do have a video on this too, but they have cards that go over some of the rules, and they have a level A, B, and C, and he is just doing level A, which really could be for like 3rd, 4th, 5th graders. So he's probably on the tail end of level A, and they have CDs and you use a headphone. So it's pretty independent, and he actually likes it. He's actually walks around spelling words now. Boys 10 years old, they just go through different stages. So, okay, another thing we try to get done during that time, and we do not get to it every day, and that is our grammar, which we use the Shurley English for grammar. It does have writing too, but we are just using it for its grammar. We really enjoy it. We have some cards that I have put with this to correlate it. And now you may be wondering, Rachel, why don't you do that every day? He is doing fine with it, and I guess I've been through grammar enough that I'm really not worried about it, as long as he is staying on top of it and not forgetting things, because they will review this stuff every school year, and really does click with him. And we get to it a few times a week, so that has been working well for us. Okay, another thing that we do is geography. Now, geography is in the bulk curriculum, which is Heart of Dakota, which I will show you. But we have pulled a different geography curriculum, and it is actually from Memoria Press. It's their book 1, and we also plan on doing book 2, but this is the Middle East, Northern Africa, and Europe, and we'll do book 2 towards next semester, and he is doing great with this. He enjoys it. He's independent on it, and I had written out a schedule if you watched any of my schedule videos, and he is right on target with that. So I am very thankful that that is something that he is enjoying. I do want to mention this also, just because I seen it when I was grabbing his school stuff, and he does do a little journaling, and which I really encourage, especially this age, 4th, 5th grade, maybe even before, 3rd and 6th. But because all my boys did a little bit of it, and it's fun to go back and look and see what they wrote and just their memories. And it's just one of those things that they do a lot of writing. I don't go back and correct anything. It's their words, it's their writing. So I want them to enjoy it, and I want them to have the freedom to write what they want. And I want to encourage you too, if they are ever doing a journal and they ask you how to spell a word, just spell it for them. Don't try to make it a lesson, because they have a thought going and they want to get it down. Usually they don't ask me, but there's probably been a few times. So I wanted to share that thought with you, especially at that age. Okay, for our bulk of our curriculum, we use Heart of Dakota, Creation to Christ, and I have a whole video just on how this curriculum works, and I will also link that below. It is for ages 9 to 11, and this is what you could call a box curriculum, but it is a Charlotte Mason inspired program, and it is very Christ-centered. We have really enjoyed it. This is my third time going through this particular guide. This particular guide starts out the 4-year cycle for what they call middle school. It really is one of those curriculums that you would need to look at the placement and see where they would fit in best. So, okay, for the curriculum, they actually have math, their own language arts, which we are using our own. Like I said, they have geography. We are using our own for that. They have a Bible study, and this is the new book that they're using, and I'm going to be honest with you, I keep thinking we will try to get to it, and we have not. And I will tell you why. We are doing some books and studies with my 10th grader that we do together, and we just have not taken the time to continue on with this. The little bit that we did, the book seemed fine. And something I also want to mention to you, when you have older children, and I may actually do a whole video on this, that tail end child seems to comprehend and know a lot, at least for me. That is my experience. And I know with things that are related to the Bible, it's okay to review things and go over things. But I feel like we are doing that with what I'm using for them together, which I will do a video on what we are doing together in our read alouds at the end of this semester, like in December. I will do a video on that. So, but the book looks fine. So if this is your first time through and you have little ones under them, this would be probably a great book to do with everybody. That's just not what we grabbed this time. Okay, so they have the Bible study. They also have Bible quiet time, and that is actually going to be related to the history because it is creation to Christ, and he is actually taking that Bible time. They give you the choice of an illustrated family Bible or your own Bible, and he has his own Bible, which I fill that out in his schedule so he can do that first thing in the morning. He can just look at his schedule and see what he is supposed to be reading for Bible quiet time. And I'll just give you a quick look at this guide if this is your first time here. But this side is all about history, and this side is all the extra subjects like math, language arts, poetry, the Bible study, and also science. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So I wanted to share that with you. So he starts out with his Bible, then he does those other subjects I have already mentioned, and then after that, he does have a break. I mean, we have a schedule, and I've talked about that. He does have a break. He goes outside. The weather here has been almost too nice, like, to get them to come back in. But it has been beautiful. So I'm trying to let them enjoy being outside as much as possible because I know cold weather is coming. But it is November. All right, so like I said, Heart of Dakota is a Charlotte Mason inspired curriculum. We do have a spine that we use for history, and then we usually have a read aloud. So it is supposed to encourage your child to independence, and this reading through history is supposed to be an independent book, but we are reading it together. And when we read this right now, it's pretty much just emphasizing what he has read out of the Bible that morning. Now it does talk about some other history things like the Canaanites and some things about the Egyptians, but that's really when our read alouds come in and tell us a little bit more. So now this is just one of the spines. They have, I think, 2 or 3 more, which will be starting towards the end of the semester. And they're actually smaller books, which I'm thinking about at that time moving him over to the independence part and letting him read those. But this one we're reading together. This will be done by December. And then he'll start the next 2 spines. Okay, now we've already read, and I mentioned that in my first video, I think a couple story time books. But since then, we have finished up Boy of the Pyramid. I think I said this was something that was coming up. And it's not a long book, but it is very good, very detailed, gives you an idea of what things were like back then in Egypt, during the harvest in the Nile, from, you know, a child's point of view and his family and how they lived. So it's very good. Then another book, and both of these are actually put out by Simply Charlotte Mason, just to let you know. Not all their story times are, but these 2 just happen to be. And this is Jacob's Journal, and I actually mentioned this one in a little detail on my Instagram account, and I do mention a lot of different things on there. So if you have not joined me, I'd love for you to come over there and follow me, and I will link that below. But this was really good. This is an Old Testament law story, so it's in story form with sort of right after they enter the Promised Land with Joshua. And it's from Jacob. He's one of the leaders that came over, and he knows most of the law. His father was one of Moses' judges, so he understands the law. So when there is a problem that arises, they will go to him and ask him, this is what has happened. Or maybe a predicament happened, and he needs to tell them that this is what the law says. But it will take you, it actually gives you scripture and discussion questions to go look at the Bible exactly what it says and why. So I really thought that was really good. It seemed like an easy book, but because it really took you to the scriptures, it really did emphasize important things. So wanted to share that one with you. We are on God King, A Story in the Days of Hezekiah. It is put out by Bethlehem Books. And we are over halfway through. I think we finish it up in a week and a half. So, and this has really been a good book. It's sort of in a time period that's not mentioned a lot in history. It is a historical fiction. So, but it's hard to say exactly. I read it a couple times, but it's been a while, so I knew what was going to happen so far, but I can't remember the very ending. So I will share that with you in our next update. Really been enjoying this book. All right, we do have other things that we do and read together with my 10th grader. It's not a lot, but I will be sharing that in a future video. So like I said, if you're interested, please subscribe and even hit that red bell so you will be notified when the video comes out. I almost forgot to mention his notebook, and that's a lot of his history work because he does narration. He does written narration. Let me scoot back to this unit. There is a timeline, there is narration, there is copy work, and then there's verses that you copy. There's always something on this page. This had to do with the divisions of the kingdom of Judah and Israel. We did not follow the exact directions, but we talked about it a lot, and he just got them written down. That was actually part of one of the history projects. And we have done some of the history projects, like this was one that was inside the book, but not all of them are. Some of them are actually just a hands-on. And there is timelines all throughout the book. Every week you are filling in a new timeline. So that is where the narration comes in. There's also oral narration where they just tell you what you read about or what they read about. And that is also included in their science. They do have oral narration for that. Let me talk about their science. Okay, this is the book he's using right now, but he is about done with that book. So he is on 13, which would be week 13, and I think he's on 13 and there's only 14 weeks. So he is about done with this book. He has a science notebook that he's been trying to keep up with that, and there's usually a copy verse, some pictures, and then a science experiment page. These are the questions he'll answer this week. And all of this is actually in the book. Like, you don't need the notebook. I printed this off the Facebook group for Creation of Christ under the files. But you do not need that notebook. It tells you, like I told you on this side, it has all the extra subjects. This is history, this is all the other, and here's science down here. So, and he can even do those questions orally if he wanted to, or if I decided. Usually I have him go ahead and fill them out because science is one of the subjects that they're pushing them to independence. Now, when we first started, we read this together, but he just took off with it. I enjoyed this, but I know he'll enjoy the coming books for science. All right, I think that's it for today. I appreciate you all watching. If you want to see anything in more detail, I think I have videos on most of this. So I will link the actual channel below so you can see, and I think all of them would be somewhat recent that I have made videos on the curriculum we are using this school year. And I do appreciate you all watching. If you have any questions or a comment that might be helpful to me, I would love to hear from you, and I appreciate you all watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.